Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. On today's show, for the second time, I have Shawn Barker. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you having me.
It's been several years since you have been here.
2021.
Yeah. So welcome back.
Thank you.
For people, maybe people didn't see that episode several years ago. Let's kind of talk about your history and how you got into the entertainment business. And you've got a new show coming up here in Branson, and we're going to talk about that. But let's just tell people real quickly what that show is, and then we'll go into the
the
history.
show is The Man in Black. It's a tribute to Johnny Cash, and we cover all Johnny Cash's career from his early start with Sun Records, and then we continue on up all the way through the end of his career when he was with Rick Rubin and doing the American recordings and like songs like Hurt and stuff like that. We have my wife Jessica will be doing all the June Carter duets and stuff with us. So yeah, we're looking forward to being here this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, take us back, and how did you get into this business?
This business I got into actually doing Elvis. I was doing an Elvis tribute for a while, and I was trying to break into the acting more than just tribute work. And I got a call from a guy up in Springfield named Fred Puglia, and he was casting people or sending people out to a casting for a Broadway show out in Hollywood.
Okay.
And I went out and auditioned for that, but I was auditioning for the part of Elvis because I thought this would be a shoo-in. And then the director, Floyd Mutrix, who was a director out of Hollywood, he called me up and wanted me to send in an audition tape as Johnny Cash. And I'd never thought about doing Johnny before, I knew his songs, but had never really performed them before. So I sent a video out of me doing, I think, Walk the Line in Folsom Prison, and instantly they called me back and was like, yeah, you're the guy for Johnny Cash. And it turned out it was the original beginnings of the $1 Million Quartet for the Broadway play.
Okay.
And so I went out to Hollywood and was doing some rehearsals and stuff for the Broadway play. And while I was doing that, me and another guy built the Man in Black show and started touring.
Yeah.
And it took off so fast because it was right around the time, like 2003, 2004, that Cash had passed away. The movie had come out, and it was just like a perfect storm.
Yeah.
And the Man in Black show just took off.
So did you do anything then with $1 Million Quartet?
No, I did not. I got so busy doing my own show, and they were still in the building process of $1 Million Quartet. It hadn't been scheduled for Broadway yet, so I had to drop. And another guy here in Branson was also the first for $1 Million Quartet, and that's how I got to know him, and that's Dean Z.
Oh.
Me, I was the original Johnny Cash for the $1 Million Quartet. Dean Zeligman was Dean Z was the original Elvis.
Yeah.
And we were both going out to Hollywood and stuff like that and working together. And he's a great guy, and everybody in town knows Dean Z now. He's got just a fantastic show.
And Dean's been on the show, although it's been a while, but I'm not sure I remember that about him. So I want to go back even before that. So when you were in high school, were you like, hey, I want to be in the entertainment business? Were you a big Elvis fan then? Like, talk about how that, just as you're growing up, how music played in your life.
Yeah, I was always a big Elvis fan. I enjoyed his movies and stuff. My mom was an Elvis fan, my dad, they enjoyed all that older music. My dad was a big Buddy Holly and Roy Orbison fan, but my mom, she really loved Elvis, and we'd always watch his movies. So yeah, I was really into Elvis, but really in high school and stuff, I was kind of the rock guy. I had the long hair and all that, and loved like the 80s scene that was happening at that time, with the Motley Crue and all that kind of stuff. But I was always interested in music, and like had tried out to sing for some bands and stuff like that. It's high school, things ain't going anywhere. But didn't have, like, that was what I was going to do. My intention was, I went into the Army 5 days after I graduated. Okay. I was coming home. I was going to study and go to college, get married, have the, just the normal life. And then it just took a total 180. And when I did get on stage and start doing that, that, like, it hit me, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Now, do you play your own guitar and everything?
Yes.
So you had to learn somehow.
Yeah. I when I got home from the Army in '94. before, my brother took me to a coffee house, and in the 90s, if you remember, like the MTV Unplugged thing was really going on strong, and like coffee houses were popping up all over. And we went there, and I seen a guy that, you know, it was just a stool, some lights, and a guy playing acoustic guitar and singing songs, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, you know. My brother's like, you can't just decide you're gonna do that. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. Went out, bought a guitar, spent hours just sitting in my room learning, and I ended up playing that coffee house. That was like some of the first things that I did was sitting on a stool playing acoustic guitar and doing Neil Young and stuff like that.
And so it's kind of at that point, the coffee house experience kind of said, here's the direction I'm gonna go. That's awesome. That's
I stuck with. I mean, I was working full time. I've done a multitude of jobs, but music was always kind of a hobby that I was doing at that time. And then when I started doing the Elvis tributes, it started picking up. And then once the cash thing hit, like I had to quit all my jobs. Like we got so busy that I was never home anymore. I was always on the road, and I loved it, and I still love it. Like I get on stage today, and I still feel the same way I did the very first Cash show I ever did. It's still that same feeling.
Now, you were at this, you talked about you were auditioning for Elvis. They said, hey, do Johnny Cash. And so that was very influential for you as well, because you probably at that point hadn't thought about Johnny, right?
No, I hadn't. And I didn't even know of anybody else. I'd never even seen anybody else doing it in the tribute world, as far as like a full-on Vegas or Branson style of Cash show. When I actually came to Legends, I was the first Johnny Cash they ever had. And when I was like, you know, what do you guys want me to do? Their answer was like, we have no idea. Like, you just make up a set, because we've never had a Cash before in all the years that Legends was around. They never had a Cash. So I was kind of the pioneer of going on the road and doing a full, like, backed up by a band and backup singers for Johnny Cash.
Yeah, and I think it was probably pretty smart strategically, because there were probably a whole bunch more Elvis tribute artists than there are Johnny Cash.
Yeah, there's getting to be more and more Cash tributes out there now. They're kind of springing up, and I think with the movie and then with the $1 Million Quartet being so successful, and then just Cash after he passed away, right? Like his legend just kind of kept growing and growing. They've done countless films on him and documentaries, and I think more and more people are starting to pick it up, and I see a lot more guys now doing it.
Yeah. But you were one of the first.
I was the first to do it in that fashion. You know, Johnny Cash's music guys and bands and stuff have always covered, but as far as like the show we're bringing to Branson, nobody was doing something like that for Cash.
So tell me how many years you've now been doing this.
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, I started out at doing with the $1 Million Quartet. I think it was like 2023, then 2024 is when we started doing the Man in Black show and touring. Cool little thing. The very first contract that I received to do the Man in Black show was with former President Donald Trump.
Oh, wow.
The very first contract was to play the Trump Marina in Atlantic City for 5 days.
Huh, interesting. Okay, folks, we're going to stop right there. We'll be right back with more. Hang tight. Going to Branson for some relaxation and fun? You've got to stay with Branson's award-winning hotel family, Meyer Hotels. Meyer Hotels features 5 hotels in Branson with the best locations for your trip. Choose from brands you know and trust, like the Holiday Inn Express on Green Mountain Drive, the Best Western Centerpoint Inn, Comfort Inn at Thousand Hills, and the Comfort Inn and Suites. Enjoy refreshing indoor pools and hot tubs. Do you like free? How about a free hot breakfast each morning? Free vacation planning services, and of course, smiles are always free. Want even more value? Go to MeyerHospitality.com and join our e-club to save 15% off your next stay and check out incredible deals with our vacation packages. Call 1-877-FUN-STAY to book Branson's award-winning hotels or visit MeyerHospitality.com. It's your safe choice for award-winning lodging in Branson. MeyerHospitality.com. Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm here with Shawn Barker, who has a new show in town, and it's called The Man in Black, a tribute to Johnny Cash. And so you did it one time several years ago, but now you're going to come back and you're going to do more dates.
Yeah, we did a one-off back in 2021 of the show, and then I tour extensively across the United States and up in Canada a lot. But since I've moved here in 2020, I moved to Branson from Las Vegas, and I still tour. But I really I've always wanted to have a sit-down residency show here. It's kind of the goal for the future. So we're going to do kind of a test run this summer. We're going to be at the Pepsi Legends Theater, and we're going to be doing like Sunday and Wednesday afternoons throughout the summer.
Yes. So, folks, that's going to start June 2nd, and then it goes to the end of August. Now, there's some dates in there where sometimes you might not be playing, but at the end of August, there's like 3 dates you're doing in a row. So make sure you always look at the schedules that are out there because it does change up. But you're most Wednesdays in July, and then the Wednesdays the first part of August as well. So tell people a little bit more about the show. What can they expect when they come to the show?
It's a full Johnny Cash tribute show. We have a full band and backup singers. My wife Jessica will be one of the backup singers, but she also comes out and does all the June Carter duets that they were famous for. It's got video backing and support with it. I mean, it's a full-on Branson or Vegas style show that we've been touring. We got some of the best musicians here in Branson. If you're from the area, everybody knows the band Eastern Heights.
Oh, yeah.
So almost all of Eastern Heights, except for their singer, obviously, because I'm stepping into that. But most of Eastern Heights with Grant Moody and Dean Church, Will Clark, and then Michael Jackson is going to be playing drums for us. And then Dean's wife, Kelly Church, who was Kelly White at one time, and you might know her by that name. But Kelly Church will also be singing with my wife. So it's those guys are, if you've seen them, they're phenomenal musicians. I wouldn't do this show here with anybody else. I called them right off the bat and was like, hey, I got to get you guys as my band. Yeah. But it's a full 2-hour show, and we cover all Johnny's career, the Sun records, the stuff from his TV show, even the stuff he did later in life with Rick Rubin and like Hurt and some of the stuff he did towards the end of his life.
Because a lot of people, of course, now can't, well, I mean, obviously we can't go see Johnny Cash, so this would be a good way if someone wanted to see what was it like. This would be a good way to do that.
Yeah, it's a great way to kind of see what it was like for Cash on stage. And then also there's a lot of history. Now, I don't do my show in first person. It's like I'm Johnny Cash and I did this. I do this show as Shawn Barker. We're costumed and we're trying to recreate the look. But when I tell the stories, I'm telling the stories as a narrator standpoint. Gotcha. You know, in 1969 they gave Johnny Cash his first TV show, and I speak that way, so it's not like, hey, I'm Johnny Cash. And
Gotcha.
It's more of a tribute than a play or something like
Gotcha.
that. You know.
So you've really gone all over to do this.
Yes, I've been all over the world. I've toured Australia, France, Belgium, twice in Germany. Almost every province of Canada, and then almost every state in the United States. And like I was telling you earlier, and I had a big stint in Quebec, the province of Quebec. I did this show for 8 years at a theater, doing 5 nights a week in French-speaking Quebec of all places, but they loved it. They just ate it up.
Now you said something about a gold record.
There was a French singing performer in Quebec, and because of their French language, they have their own stars and their own TV shows and everything. And I was part of an album with a guy named Paul Derage, and he did like a album of Christmas music, and me and him did a duet of Blue Christmas, and it ended up going gold. Yeah,
well, that's pretty exciting.
Gold record. Yeah, you could hear me on the radio up there, and I'd done sitcom TV work up there and all kinds of stuff. I had a pretty neat career in Quebec. It was for somebody in the music industry, it was, or in the entertainment industry, it was kind of like what you dream of, right? Like to be that famous, you know, was an interesting time of my life. Very interesting.
And you know, we recently just did an episode with Billy Yates, and he's talking about, you know, overseas, like he's huge, and then he came back to the United States, and you know, he could act what I'd say more normal, and so that happens based on the country that you take off in. Now, you're going to still do some dates even this year in Canada, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll be going back up to Quebec. I'll be back in Quebec. I think I got one show each month of the summer, And then I'm also going up, and we do some of the maritime provinces like Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, and we'll be doing some dates up there also. Okay. I just came back from Canada a week ago. I was in Ontario, Mississauga.
So you used to live in Vegas. You come to Branson, Missouri. Was that a culture shock?
No, I mean, I'd been here before, and I'd worked for Legends way back in like 2007, and then again I was here in like 2012. So, and I grew up. I was born and raised in St. Louis.
Okay.
So I was a Missouri, this area to begin with. But I mean, it was a huge change from Vegas to Branson, and but everything was different anyway because we moved right in the middle of the pandemic and the lockdowns, which is what brought me here. Like the West Coast was done, and they stayed done for 3 years.
Yeah.
And Robin Jeannie called me from Legends and was like, "Hey, do you want to come down here and work? Because we're open." I was like, well, I was already throwing bags in the car before I was even off the phone.
And really, Branson was one of the few places that was open. And I tell people we were open, but we really didn't do a good job telling people we were open. And that was probably part of the pandemic. But we weren't closed very long, in that process. You also, and I think if I go back in a couple of years, when we last talked, you were actually doing Waylon Jennings as well. And so do you still do that, or was that just a short stint and now you're done with that?
I've done it since then. I did a spring run last year with Legends as Waylon. That was kind of something I created specifically for the Legends company. They were starting the country show that they're doing on Sundays, and I created that specifically for Legends, and that's the only place I've performed that at.
Yeah.
And probably will be the only place I'll perform that at, especially now that I've kind of pulled the Cash character off the table for them by having my own show. I could possibly still do the Waylon for them during their regular season. Yeah. I love the Waylon Jennings set. It's a lot of fun.
So anyway, I went back and dug and saw you had done that, but of course I didn't find anything current with that. And okay, folks, we're going to wrap this up, but here's the deal. Let's rehash this. A Man in Black, a tribute to Johnny Cash, opens June 2nd, and it will go through August 29th. Now, there are a few dates that are beyond that, November 27th.
Yes.
And January 1st at 8 p.m. So you got what we'd call them one-off dates there.
Yeah, there are a couple special one-offs. The 27th is the night before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And then the one is New Year's Day, not New Year's Eve, New Year's Day on the 1st. Yeah, and those are going to be actual 8 o'clock shows.
Yeah, so here's something to think about. Like maybe you have family coming into town over Thanksgiving that whole week, but the night before Thanksgiving, or even after New Year's Eve, the next night, because a lot of times there's not, like all the shows will shut down after New Year's Eve, and so people sometimes are still in town. Great opportunity there, but those will be 8 p.m. shows, and then the shows, June, July, and August, those will all be 3 p.m. shows, and that's all over at Legends in Concert at the Pepsi Legends
Theater now.
Yeah, so they've changed the name. So, but still same spot, right on West Highway 76. So, well, Shawn, we're looking forward to having you doing more here in Branson, and thanks for coming out and visiting with us today.
Appreciate it, Chris. Good to be here. Yeah.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need ibranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at ibranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. ibranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. We want to thank Shawn Barker for stopping by today. The Man in Black, a tribute to Johnny Cash, opens June 2nd at 3 p.m. at the Pepsi Legends in Concert Theater. That's located at 1600 West 76 Boulevard. Now it's going to start June 2nd. It's going to go through August 29th. Those shows will be at 3 p.m. Now Sundays and Wednesdays in June, most Wednesdays in July, a few Wednesdays the first part of August, and then August 27th through the 29th. Now, he's also going to do a special November 27th and January 1st at 8 p.m. Now, some of you might be saying, Chris, why are you wearing a Chiefs shirt today? Well, good question you asked. Did you know they won the Super Bowl? Yes. But number two, did you know that Branson, Missouri is the official vacation destination of the Chiefs? 2 award-winning places or organizations partnering together. So that's pretty exciting. So this is my tribute to the Chiefs win and Branson being the official vacation destination of the Chiefs. Now, next week's show is Mayhem, one of Branson's new redneck comedians. I think it's going to be a crazy show. You'll want to be sure and tune in. Here's some of the limited engagements coming up soon in Branson. Now, April 19th through the 29th, we have Street Fest at Silver Dollar City. Now, as a part of that, Christy Sellers is going to have an aerial acrobatic show. And if you remember, she was a finalist on America's Got Talent, and it was amazing. I think you'll love it. April 19th and 20th, Branson Music Fest. April 24th, Breaking Benjamin. May 2nd through the 27th, Bluegrass and Barbecue at Silver Dollar City. If you like bluegrass music, there is bluegrass every day, tons of artists. I'll highlight a few of those in just a moment. May 6th, Terry Bradshaw. May 9th, Wade Hayes. He's going to be over there at Wranglers on Highway 165. May 11th through the 13th, Rhonda Vincent will be out at Silver Dollar City for part of Bluegrass and Barbecue. May 13th, Matt Gumm's got a special show. May 18th, at the Mansion Theater, Bohemian Queen. You want to check this out if you like Queen. May 19th and 20th, the Grascals, also out at Silver Dollar City. Here's a big one. This just was recently announced. May 25th, Morgan Wallen, down there at Thunder Ridge, the new place that Johnny Morris's new grand opening. And then that follows on June 13th with Chris Stapleton. So you want to check Chris Stapleton out as well. That same day, June 13th, Gene Watson will be back in town over at Wranglers Honky Tonk. June 16th, Terry Bradshaw, Matt Gumm has a show that day, and many more to come. Now, if you need help planning your Branson vacation, be sure to visit ibranson.com or call 1-877-ENTERTAIN. You can find the latest show schedules, attractions, and lodging options on ibranson.com. Folks, you can also find us on social media. Like us on Facebook, our YouTube channel, and we'd love to hear from you. Now, here it is. Music is always better live, so go see some live music this week. That's it for today. We'll see you next week on Play Branson.